Hey, this is Double R. And I wanted to tell you that Anchor by Spotify is a great and easy way to make a podcast with everything you need and all in one place. Anchor has the tools to allow you to record, edit your podcast straight from your phone or your computer. When hosting with Anchor, you can distribute your podcast to all listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Best of all, it's totally free. So go down the Anchor app or go to Anchor.fm to get started. This is the Let's Roll Podcast with your host, Double R. What's up, everybody? It's your host that rolls the most, Double R, and welcome back to the Let's Roll Podcast. Today, I'm going to talk about why you should date me. No, I'm kind of joking. No, we're gonna. Today's episode is dating or dating with a disability. I want to talk about dating with a disability and why it's hard and all the challenges and much more on this episode. And we'll get right to it right after this. So, I jokingly opened up saying date me, and that is the title of this episode. But it's not about just dating me. It's about, let's talking about one of my experiences in dating, the challenges, the problems that not only I might have, but whoever's dating me might have. So I'm going to be upfront. I haven't dated that much in my life. I've had a handful of, not really a handful, probably less, I'm going to say less than 3. I would say probably about 5 relationships, maybe. I might be exaggerating a little bit there, but I didn't have a real typical dating life like most people majority of people would have. I had what I would consider a girlfriend in the 4th grade. And if you want to call it a girlfriend, that was my first interest in girls that I can remember off the top of my head. I remember in elementary, or I guess, I think this was in 3rd grade, and I liked the one girl I mentioned. I said 4th grade, but we went to school together, so we were in 3rd and 4th grade together. And I liked her, and as far as I know, she liked me too. We even went out on a date one time. My mom took us to go see Fox and the Hound, Disney movie. That's dating myself really bad. But even in the 3rd grade, I remember having like 6 girlfriends. I had 6 girlfriends in the 3rd grade in the same class. I couldn't tell you all their names. I will say the one that I mentioned was named Christian. And I really liked her, for as much as you could like somebody at that age. Yeah, I liked her, Then I had another girlfriend. Her name was Rhonda, I believe. And I dated her when I was in junior high. And she was the first one that I kissed. The first one that really, I'm going to say, broke my heart. There was also another girl, I think before her, and I can't remember her name, but she lived in my neighborhood. And this was the first time that I really had somebody cheat on me. And I remember her coming over to the house. I had a swimming pool at my house, and we spent pretty much all day back there swimming and, doing our thing. And she said that she had to go because she was going to go with some friends to the skating rink. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. So when she left, I asked my mom. I said, Mom, can I go to the skating rink? Now, I can't skate. Obviously, I was in a wheelchair, physically handicapped. As I said in past episodes, wearing roller skates would break my legs. So, but my mom's like, yeah, you can go. So I went to the roller rink, and they actually let me in free. because they knew I wasn't going to roller skate, but they weren't going to charge me for that. But the other thing they let me do is they let me go out on the roller ring in my chair, so I could just roll around with everybody that was roller skating. But when I got there, I went looking for my girl. I don't want to say her name was Sabrina, but it's been such a long time. Anyway, I went looking for her, and I found her. And I found her making out with somebody else. And I just looked at her like, what are you doing? And she was surprised that I was there. And, looking back on it now, she wasn't expecting me to go to a roller rink. So, okay. But I'm here, and I came to surprise you. I thought it'd be a cool surprise. Well, it wasn't, because she had other things in mind. And that was the day that I met one of my best friends, Adam. There was another guy that we went to school with, but I can't remember his name. But I remember Adam because me and Adam became best friends. And the guy she was making out with started to threaten me. And that's when Adam and my other friend kind of came up behind me and like, what do you think you're going to do? I also remember me, Adam, and this other guy going around on the roller rink. And there was a part of the roller rink that had a step up, and it had this big platform where there was lockers and benches for people to put on their skates, and then they could just go out on the floor. And we kept rolling around and seeing her and this guy, and we were calling them names, shooting the finger at them, whatever. I was mad. I was upset. And after that, we broke up. That was my first or my second real breakup. And this one didn't hurt as much as Rhonda did, but this one still hurt, And I don't know if I have them mixed up. I don't know if Rhonda came before, I'm just going to say her name was Sabrina, or Sabrina came before Rhonda, but those relationships didn't work out. It wasn't until I was an adult that I had another relationship. And I'm not going to say very much about this relationship because it wasn't a very appropriate relationship and probably something I should never have done. I don't regret it, but it's just one of those circumstances. But this one also hurt me very, 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 very much. And it took me about a year or so to get over it. But I learned a lot of things in that relationship that I still remember to this day, and take those lessons to heart to recognize other issues. Then it wasn't until that relationship didn't even last a year. The friendship lasted longer than the relationship did, and to this day we're still. I consider ourselves still friends, but the relationship wasn't that long at all. And then I met my wife, or my ex-wife now. And I met her. And she's probably the first person, really and truly, the first person I dated, that I pursued, that I dated and went after and did the whole dating thing. And with us, it was the kind of the funny story is that she is legally blind and I am physically disabled. And I worked for this company at the time that had a sales lady that I did graphic art for this company. And so I would deal with salespeople because it was a promotional product company. So they had clients who wanted to get their logo on hats or, whatever it is. It was basically a marketing promotional company. And I was in graphic arts. And so the sales lady I was dealing with I would talk to them, I would talk to everybody. And it wasn't a secret that I wanted to date. I wanted to find somebody that I was tired of being lonely. But yet, being in a wheelchair and finding people that will go out with you is very hard. And I will say this, no offense to anybody out there, but when you're a guy and you're disabled, it's really hard. Women that are disabled probably have more of a chance and opportunities than guys do. And I just believe that's a fact. In the people that I've talked to, both women and men that both had disabilities, would pretty much confer that. They would, it's harder for a guy that has a disability to find someone to date. And based on your disability, it's really harder. I'm in a wheelchair, I'm short, I'm fat, I have crooked arms, crooked legs, I break easy. I'm not the most attractive person in the world, at least not the way I see myself. So it's hard for me to date. It's hard to find somebody to go out with. And so when I was working at this company and I, kind of said it in conversations about, the desire to wanting to date, I even had a crush on a girl that worked there, and but I knew that probably was never going to work out, which it didn't. But we became friends, but it didn't get to that point where I could ask her out on a date or anything. So this sales lady I was working with, said, "Hey, I have a friend that runs this grief group at church, and there's a young lady that's in the grief group that is having a hard time finding people that to go out with or to date." Now that's what I was told. And so when I agreed to say, "Hey, yeah, well, meet her or whatever," then they went back to her and said, "Hey, we have this, I have this, kind of the opposite." But what they said I was looking for was friends. Like I was looking for my friends. Or I might have it reversed. But anyway, we were both told opposite of each other. Like one wanted to date, one just wanted to make friends. And so they came back and they gave me her number and they said, "Call her." And I said, "Well, I'm not doing that. I'm not calling somebody out of the blue. I mean, if she's interested, she can call me." I didn't want to be the first. I don't know why. I guess I was shy that way. I didn't want to be the first. So a couple of weeks went by, I guess, or something like that. And I don't know if I finally called her or she finally called me, but we ended up getting on the phone. And I will never forget this very first phone call because we spent at least 6 hours straight on the phone. And she was talking to me the whole time while she was going out and having dinner with her friends and doing this and doing that. And we just talked about, what we were told, and we laughed about it and blah, blah, blah. So from that conversation, we ended up starting to go out with each other. But for the longest time, she didn't want to say that we were boyfriend and girlfriend. She didn't want to go any further than just a friendship. And I just, and the type of person I am, especially now, I'm like, look, don't put no limitations on this. Let's just see where it goes. If it goes somewhere, it goes somewhere. If it don't, it don't. But don't just shut it down right at the get-go. Just be open to it. Just, okay, we'll figure it out if we don't like each other or we want to continue this. That ain't no big deal. We can figure that out. So we went on several dates. She started to come over to my apartment because at the time I lived by myself. She helped me with, laundry and stuff like that. And like I said, she was legally blind. Like she couldn't drive a car. If she had to look at her phone, she had to hold it really close to her face. She had to sit kind of close to a TV if she really wanted to watch it. But most of the time, she was just listening to stuff. So it was weird on one hand because here I am dating somebody with a disability, and it is a different disability than what I had. So I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to pick up about what the differences in our disabilities were and the challenges for us dating. So I was talking about the challenges of me and my ex-wife dating before we got married, and our difference in our disability. She was legally blind, so vision impaired, and I was physically impaired. The challenges for us to date were to understand what each other could do or couldn't do. And I remember the first time we ever went to a movie together. And we went to this movie theater, and we were going to go upstairs, up the elevator to the top, because it was a big, giant screen. Not an IMAX, just a giant screen. And so when we come off the elevator area is lit, but you immediately go into the theater. Well, not only does the lighting change, but the floor changes because it goes from tile to carpet. And I remember her saying, wait. And I was like, what? And she goes, I can't see the difference. And and I said, oh, and I had to stop and say, oh, okay, just hang on to the back of my wheelchair and I'll tell you, when it's going to change or what we're going to do, blah, blah, blah. So those were the type of challenges we had to, get past. The challenge with me was just the more of the, is it accessible challenge for her. It wasn't, hers was more of a, for me, her challenge is just not being able to see certain things. So I would try to, make sure I was accommodating as much as I possibly could. Like when she loved to go to concerts. And when we did go to concerts, I would try to get tickets that were, like 2 or 3 rows or as close as I could to the stage. Come to find out, that wasn't necessarily a good idea for me because based on the concert, or based on the act we were seeing, people are going to rush to the front of the stage, and being down on the floor close to the stage like that is not good for me. Plus, people tend to stand up when they're close to the stage, and all I can see is butts in my face. So we realized that that wasn't good for me, and then she just said, look, it doesn't matter if I'm down here this close. I still can't see, like, certain things anyway. So we could sit anywhere in the stadium, I'd be fine. We're here to listen to it mostly. So we learn things about each other and learn to deal with it. And, up until I met her and growing up, I just had this mentality of I didn't want to be around anybody else with a disability. I definitely didn't want to date anybody with a disability, or much less marry somebody with a disability. So up until I met her, it was, I'm looking for an able-bodied girl, a walker. That's what we like to say. And even though my ex-wife was a combination of both, because yes, she was legally blind, but she still was able-bodied. And so together we could accommodate each other and assist each other. Unfortunately, that relationship lasted 8 years due to other reasons, not necessarily anything based. There was no difficulties based on disabilities that ended it. I ended it because I wasn't happy, and I'm not going to get into it, fully here, but that relationship came to an end. But to this day, we're still good friends, and to this day, we can still have a conversation that lasts for hours and hours and hours. I think I realized later in the marriage that we were better at being friends than we were at being a married couple or a couple. So I don't regret it. I wouldn't change anything. I cherish the time we were together, even the good and bad times. But it was just something I realized I couldn't keep going on with. And circumstances led to me having the chance to move on. And so I did. When I come back, I want to talk a little bit about why I think it is difficult, especially for an able-bodied person, to date somebody in a wheelchair. I'm going to start this off a little different than what I left off with. I'm going to talk about dating apps and how I think dating apps don't work for someone with a disability. And there's even a dating app out there that is, we'll say, advertised or geared towards people with disabilities. And I think it doesn't work. Maybe not for that app, but for the regular apps, the Plenty of Fish, the eHarmony, those type of dating apps, Facebook dating, part of Facebook, is that when I am up front and I tell somebody I'm disabled, I'm in a wheelchair, I have this bone condition, I don't think that attracts anybody towards me, at least on an app. I have had more success, which is very little, when people have gotten to meet me in person and got to see my personality and my attitude and my jokiness and, as some ladies like to say, my pretty blue eyes. But when it comes to dating apps, it's really hard. And what I find most on dating apps is these women that are trying to sell themselves because they have a fan-only page where they're trying to find, pretty much an escort, if you want to just put it in terms like that. They're looking to make money. They're looking, or they're looking to con you or whatever. I have yet to come across anybody on a dating app that was really willing to get to know me. I did have this one a couple of years ago that seemed like it was legit, and really talking to her, going back, even though she was in a whole nother country, I still was having a conversation with her, getting to know her, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't until I asked her to send a picture or something. It had to do with a picture. And she said, I can't, my camera on the back of my phone is broke. Or the camera on the back doesn't work. Well, then my question is, why don't you just take one with the front camera? She didn't say she didn't have a front camera, but most phones, smartphones do have both cameras, both sides. So it was just that and a couple other things that she had said or done that I went, this is not real. And I just deleted the messages and blocked her and just like, you're not real. She would eventually try to get something out of me. But yeah, so dating apps don't work for me. And I really don't think they work for anybody that's disabled. I don't know. If you want to reach out to me and tell me about your experiences in dating apps, being a person with a disability or a person that doesn't have a disability that found somebody with a disability on a dating app, you can always go to www.the.let's.roll.podcast, and there's several ways you can contact us and send us your feedback. But yeah, I wanted to do this episode with a few other people that have disabilities, but it's kind of hard to get people to be willing to come and record with you and put themselves out there. So I just went ahead and went and did this episode. With all that being said, it's not impossible to date. it's just very hard to date. It's very hard to find somebody that's willing to want to go out with you. I find it doubling hard now that I'm in my 50s. Also hard because of the pandemic. There's a lot of things against the ability to go find someone to date and build a relationship with and stuff. But I try not to get down on it too much. I'm just going to keep rolling with my life until that someone comes along. And if they don't come along, oh, so be it. With that being said, thank you once again for coming out. Or I say coming out. Thank you for hitting the play button to listen to the Let's Roll podcast. Again, you can find all of our social media on our website. Follow us on all of those. I'm going to try to get better with getting episodes out. I'm going to probably record right now as I'm recording this. Probably going to record maybe 1 or 2 more episodes. And then when I start recording again, I will start filming it or videotaping it or webcamming it for Patreon. So that is something that we're going to start doing for Patreon members. We're going to give you a behind-the-scenes look at me recording, uncut, unedited, all the mistakes, all the coughing, farting, you name it, we're going to be doing it. And if you want to see or listen and see the recording of the episodes before they come out, then you can absolutely become a Patreon member. That will help support us, help. And when I say us, I'm acting like there's a bunch of people behind this, and there's not. There's just me. I'm just doing it right now. Doesn't mean I won't eventually want to get some help to do this. And but right now I'm doing it. So if you want to help support me, become a member. There's other ways you can support us by going to our merch store, picking up some merch. You can donate through PayPal if you want to. There's the other way, the easiest way that you can support us right now, and really don't cost you anything, is to leave a review, a rating, and share our podcast or my podcast with other people that you think would find it interesting. With that all being said, as always, until next time, let's roll. Hey guys, Double R here, and make sure you check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Patreon, and our merch store. Follow us on all of our social media.